Welcome to the next video in this series. And today we are going to talk about the alerts and baseline for the resources and how to utilize action groups for alerts. Action groups that we have already understood in the previous video. So let's go to the next slide and try to understand alerts. Okay, so when we create an alert, there are a few settings and information that we need to put in or provide to the portal or the alert settings. The very first thing is define alert condition, where we mention the Azure resource. It could be, for example, the Azure VM. We provide some logic, some condition. When that condition is met, an alert would trigger. It could be the value of CPU storage for some CPU percentage, read write data, VM update, or anything like that for which you want an alert to trigger. We place there. And then we have alert details, where we need to provide the name for the role or the alert. We need to provide some description for our own benefit, understanding, and the severity of the alert. Then we have action group. Action group we already have talked about in detail in the previous video, but here we'll connect action group with the alerts. All right. All right, let's go to the next video. Next slide. And here I have the collection of snippets which will help you understand how can we configure alerts in the Azure portal. So we have already been discussed, alert is a part of monitoring service of Azure. So we need to go to the monitor right here. You can see it is red marked, and under monitor we click on alerts, and then this window would appear right here. You can see my mouse right now right here, and we need to click on new alert rule to create an alert. If you remember the previous video, we clicked on the manage actions for action groups, but we have already covered that part. So let's click here and let's see what happens. Once you hit the alert, once you hit the alert here, right here, we have this window that we have already talked about in the previous slide, what all information we need for creation of the alert, like the target. It could be the any Azure resource, the condition, like a logic that you're going to place to trigger an alert, and the alert details. Here we're going to put all the information of alert. What is the name, a description, and the kind of severity. All right, so let's go to the next slide. Here I'm showing you all the information that I have filled in this particular window. It's my VM that I've selected as an target. The condition is whenever there is an update or create happens in the VM under the activity log, this alert will trigger. And right here is the action. I'm not selecting anything because I'm going to show you where the alert shows and how can we change the state of an alert. But if you want to perform any action with the help of action groups, you can click here, add here, and select the action group that we have created in the previous video, or maybe your any automated action. And here the details for the alerts. So let's go to next slide. Now here what I'm doing, I'm going to change the size of my VM so that in activity log it would show the VM updated and it would trigger an alert. That's what the slide for. That's my VM, that's the size, and I changed the size. And once it's done, within 5 or 6 minutes, we got all the alert information right here. Under monitor, I went to alerts. There are 5 alerts, and all 5 belongs to the same condition. I hit on the severity 4, and in next slide you'll see these are the alerts generated at the same time for this activity. Now what you can do, you can go ahead and click on the change state. You can change the state of this alert. If you need to perform any action, you can acknowledge. If you think it is fine, you can close, or if you want to place it as new, that's your choice. All right, so let's talk about the baseline. Create a baseline resource. Well, it is more like a resource performance baseline. In Azure, a resource baseline is what you develop by studying resource metrics and diagnostics data. The baseline represents the ordinary expected behavior of your Azure resources. The performance baseline that you have created can be compared with the future performance levels. And once a baseline has been determined, you can take the benefit of dynamic alerting. That is something which will give you, because dynamic alerting leverages advanced machine learning to learn metrics, historical behavior, identity patterns, and anomalies that indicate possible service issues. Once an alert rule is created, it will fire only when the monitored metric doesn't behave as expected based on its tailored threshold. Once you click on that, you can read a little more about dynamic threshold. In next slide, I'll show you how can we configure it. Prior to that, I have already informed you it leverages the machine learning and analyze the historical data. Why we use it? Because of these benefits that it provides. It's a scalable alerting. Dynamic threshold alerts rules can create tailored threshold for hundreds of metric trees at a time. It is a smart pattern recognition. Because of machine learning technology, we are able to automatically detect metric patterns and adapt to metric changes over time. And it's intuitive configuration. That means it allows us to configure metric using high-level concepts. All right, so let's see how can we configure it. It is the same place where we went before to configure the condition or the logic of the alert. Once we go there, here we find static and dynamic alert logic. If you hit the dynamic and you fill this information, then the alert become a dynamic, and you can take the benefit of this particular service, and you can go to this link to read a little more about it. So this is all about alerts and baseline, and we saw how can we use action group with the alert and how this functions. I hope this would be a learning lesson for you. Let's meet in a new video. Thank you.